Hi everybody, this is Nicki Christensen, and as you know, I have a curious, keen interest on certain things and all things business, and I'm reminded of a quote, show me your friends and I'll show you the man, but I prefer to think of it as, show me your bookcase and I'll tell you the man that you are. I'm sitting here today with Jackson Dean, who is the creator of Social Growth Media, and we're sitting at Jackson's office desk overlooking the beautiful, is this a lake or a river?
Yeah, lake, Varsity Lakes.
Yeah, I should have known that, shouldn't I? Varsity Lakes here on the Gold Coast. And Jackson, we're recording some podcasts together today, and plus he was consulting me on some of the website stuff that he helps me with and some social media. And I'm looking at all these books, and I know about 90% of them, and I've read 2 of them, which got me interested. Jackson, which book are you reading at the moment?
None.
Okay.
You wanted some honest answers? I don't read books. I collect books, but I don't read them.
So what do you do with them?
I collect them. I literally just look at the books. It just makes the office look a little more professional.
You're not even kidding.
I'm not kidding. I haven't read a single one of those books.
Wow. I mean, he's got such a collection here. For the bookworms out there, because I'm a little bit nerdy, I haven't read a book. In the last 2 years, I've read about 2 books, maybe, half a book. I've just started reading a really good book right now.
Yeah.
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, I flick through books. So like I can't read. I don't have ADD, but when it comes to the idea of reading a book, I feel like I do, because I just cannot sit still.
It's too much commitment, right?
And read a book. I just don't see, like, I'm just so bad. I wish I could read books,
God,
but I
you've
just
got some
can't.
good stuff here, like How to Make Millions with Your Ideas, Dan Kennedy.
Yeah, I actually did think I read half. I half read books, so I read half of that like 7 years ago, I reckon.
Crush It, Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, I didn't read that. It looks good. Like I just get sold the idea of a book, and I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to read that.
Wait. I think you've read this one, The 4-Hour Work Week, Timothy Ferriss.
Okay, so I've listened to that audiobook.
Well, that's the same thing, listening and reading.
Yeah, so I'll listen to audiobooks, but I can't read. So I like to call it shelf improvement or shelf education.
So you don't miss the sound of the pages as you flick through them?
No, I just can't sit still and watch and read a book. But these books are good books. But here's one, like Find Your Why by Simon Sinek. That's like
the hardcover version. Huh?
Yeah, that's a game changer book.
That is a game changer.
But that's not really a book. This is like a work.
It's a journal.
What do you call it? Yeah,
it's a plan. It's a blueprint.
Yeah, it's a blueprint. You can sort of fill it in.
Have you seen the YouTube that he's done on the book?
No.
It's worth a look.
I will. Oh no! Yeah. Of course.
Oh, yes. Welcome back.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that book is a game changer, because that book. You know when people go, that book changed my life. That book changed my life.
Yeah, it did change my business life. Like you look what's below my book. All my compassion children.
Oh, show me those. What's that about?
These are all the kids we sponsor through Social Growth Media.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so every new client that we bring on board, we sponsor a family and child around the world.
You don't tell anyone about this.
No, I don't.
You don't hang up a big sign. You don't put it on your PowerPoint slides.
We're relaunching our website. And
wait. But I was just thinking, I actually really like that, because, you know, it's the same, like, you know, when people that donate to charities and you walk into their restaurant, there's a restaurant in Brisbane that does this. God, I hate it. You walk in, there's a big check hanging behind reception going, we donated $10,000 to the Children's Hospital. You've just completely undone everything by hanging the check in the back of your bloody reception, right? Whereas you've just quietly gone about sponsoring Mark Masimbi, Laura, Franco. Sorry, I was culling the last names for privacy for these kids.
You have heaps.
Wow. I didn't know this about you.
Yeah, that's the why. Well, there you go. That's the Simon Sinek why in me. So yeah, the whole point of Social Growth Media is not just to help business owners. It's also to help the next generation of business owners, and to give a equal opportunity to those less fortunate than us, since we have been given the opportunity. It's time, it's our responsibility to pay it forward.
I just so wish that we could somehow keep track of them. I'm holding a handful of thank you notes from all, like, written for all these kids. Could you imagine if we could actually track these kids for the next 20, 30 years?
Well, I can. I don't, but I can. Like
through RFID or?
No, like they. I don't know. I've got like
they send you updates and
like we sponsor so many kids that we have our own business manager, like someone who helps us like write letters to them all because there's like a lot of letters to write, and we pick out Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and stuff for them, and so we have like our own assigned like executive assistant for all of our compassion children.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's really cool. Like, folks, seriously, this is not a put on. I didn't know they were sitting there because there's like this stack of books and he just moved it to get to that why and all these fell out. Compassion for children. And so are you a religious person?
I was brought up Christian.
Yep.
But
Australia's a Christian society.
Well, yeah. Are we still?
Yes, we are. 60%.
We are? Okay. Do you know 50% of our country is not Australian, multicultural, from somewhere else?
That makes sense. I'm not from here. Good. I'm actually ESL.
But yeah, like I mean, my thing is, the main reason I chose compassion, I mean, I guess we're naming the companies, but yeah, instead of choosing World Vision over compassion, apparently like 30% of the money you donate to World Vision goes to the kid. So 30 cents in the dollar. Compassion's 80%. So compassion's like the highest one. So that's
important, right? The overhead to see how much of the dollar actually gets to the intended recipient.
Yeah. So 20% is management and admin and all that sort of stuff. And that's, run a business. So I understand that 100%. But that's like the main reason. The other reason is, when you're in the third world, of which we have both lived over in the third world, trying to run our own teams over there. Mm. But when you're in the third world, you definitely need an outside beacon of hope, you could say. And so they get provided with the Christian message and Christian education. And, I mean, they get everything. So we pay for their food, shelter, education, so schooling, pretty much everything. And I think some of the money that we donate, like, goes towards their entire sort of family too. So it's not just the one kid; it's actually the kid plus the family. So, yeah, what we're doing, it's impacting lots of families and lives all around the world. About 13 different countries, I think we sponsor.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
all from a Simon Sinek starter, which is great because again,
well, I was sponsoring these kids way before I read the book. Like I've been sponsoring kids since I was in year 10. I think, like I'd sponsor
in year 10.
Yeah, like so.
I'm looking at Jackson with a raised eyebrow because in year 10 you're 15, and you actually thought about kids in other countries at that age.
Yes.
And what were your thoughts?
So I was 13 when I started trading the share market. Okay, and
that's a whole other podcast. 13. Okay, we need to delve into that, but that'll be another version.
Yeah, so we got a lot to talk about. So 13 years old, I started trading the share market, specifically trading derivatives. But after trading for a few years, I was making good money. So I ended up, because I was brought up Christian, I was like, trained and taught to give more than you get, or, give as much as you can give. Mm. So I started sponsoring kids and families when I was in grade 10. And have been ever since.
That's so cool. Seriously, genuinely, congratulations. I love it. I mean, I was just reading in the card as Jackson was talking, the update. And, in business, you can get sidetracked with focusing on profit and loss and balance sheet and, customer acquisition, cost per lead, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But I've opened this card, it's for Franco.
Franco.
And he says,
he's my favourite.
Franco.
You're not supposed to have favourites.
He was sitting at the top.
He's my favourite.
There's a funny TV advert. Franco says, my birthday is 22nd of February. A little bit about me. Franco lives with his mother. His mother is sometimes employed. There are 2 other children living in the household. Franco helps with the following duties: caring for animals, running errands. Franco's favourite activities: running, playing with toy cars, Sunday school, church. Franco attends school equivalent of year 1. Franco's favourite subject is art. Now just ponder that for a minute. A kid in grade 1, third world, helped by Jackson and what he's doing, loves art. Are we looking at the next great artist? I mean,
That's
the point
the
is,
opportunity.
it's up to whatever happens from here, but this gives Franco the chance possibly he never would have had. So, wow, all that from looking at your book stack going, what are you reading? Nothing. Great. This is going to be a good conversation.
Yeah, you just thought it was going to be like a nice, easy book episode or something. Nah, we're going deep. So, no, I actually believe, the other thing I believe about this is, see, Franco is from Bolivia, right? He is...
No, he's not. Laura from Mexico.
6.5 years old, right?
Yeah.
But this kid only I don't know when this will happen. I don't know when I want to give these kids phones, but I guess that'll come up one day.
Well, that's happening earlier and earlier in Australia.
Do you know that the average age, I heard this the other day, see if we can back it up, but the average age of kids getting their first smartphone as a toy.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Oh, as a toy? Ooh, I was going to say like 8 or 9, but you've said toy, so we're going to have to go south of that.
I don't know if this is true, but I read this and it made me sick.
What is it, like 6, 5?
18 months.
Nah, come on.
The
Really?
first time that kids are to the ability of downloading their own apps, playing with their own apps,
should believe
and
that.
doing it consistently is 18 months because parents
I'm
are
not
now...
parenting and they're sticking an iPad or a phone in their hand.
Yeah,
and then, shut up, kid.
it's the easiest thing to shut them up. So, I believe with the proper, I guess, training and guidance around using technology, technically Franco here, who's from Bolivia, who's 6.5 years old.
Could be selling his artworks worldwide.
Exactly. Through Instagram when he's 8 years old.
You're a genius. I love how everything comes back to Instagram with you. It
course
doesn't matter
it does.
whether we're talking about coffee, family, relationships, business, kids in third worlds from Bolivia. He'll be selling it through Instagram.
Well, he will, because he can sign up to Instagram and he can sell for free, and he can sell products for free through Instagram. I mean, you know, just the thing about the third world over the next, I don't know, 20 years or so is everyone's realistically got the same level playing field now once everyone has a phone. Then it just comes down to education around the phone and how to use it and the apps and the software and everything else you can do. And then, you know, sort of like what's your dedication to, you know, getting out of the third world? If you've been given the tools, everybody...
Oh, that should send a shiver of fear down all these... I would almost say
these guys are gonna
overweight,
win.
lazy Western children who have got it so easy, who don't really have to struggle for much. And I know there's a lot of you yelling at your speakers right now. But you raise a very good point. You're exactly spot on. I mean, these kids are up against it from day one, right? Now, what drives when you're hustling and working those 20-hour days? What's going to drive you to do that? If you're comfortable and you don't have to fight for your next meal.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're funding these kids so that they're having a more comfortable life than they have, but they have already started life on the back foot, shall we say, versus a white kid in a Western world.
Yeah.
So they will have the drive and hunger. So there's a warning for all these fat, lazy, comfortable kids in the Western world. The third world kids are coming for you because the level playing field of technology.
We already see it everywhere. I mean, like most of the
I've got kids, by the way. I'm not slagging off all the kids.
I know you got like, but you've got like freelancers from every country in the world now. I mean, anyone that has, you know, if like say, there's people that in severe poverty, but that can't even afford food and water and stuff. But even then, like that's becoming less each year. I think I'm pretty sure from the stuff I've read from like, you know, Bill and Melinda Gates and stuff like that, like the poverty is becoming less and less of a thing because of technology.
Who's spreading the internet around the world? Is that Zuckerberg or the Gates Foundation?
That's Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg, yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing, isn't it? I mean, okay, there's more consumers for the products that he owns. The cynics would say that's the motivation. That's unfair. I don't know what his motivation is. I just know that it's close to his heart that he wants every kid in the world to have access to the internet because that will be what raises community standards, what raises education and actually finally gets them into the game.
Well, if you give the kids the internet, well, technically they have access to free education. Yeah. You know, and
YouTube.
Yeah, well, YouTube's free education. I mean, there's heaps of education websites that, you know, provide like $10, $15 courses on pretty much anything at a basic level. So like, then there's even free versions of that. So once these kids get access, like technically the playing field is level. You know, like, and even in the Western world, we have education, you know, we have a schooling system, but that schooling system doesn't help us at all become rich from like technology. The education system in Australia is, and around the world isn't geared towards doing that. It teaches you fundamental life skills,
Have
but
you
it
got
doesn't
half an
teach you
hour
how
to
to get
talk
rich.
about how crap the Australian education system is?
I have 30 days back to back to talk about that. I went through it. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in it and came out the other side, and now I'm an educator. So yeah, I am firmly against our education system. But at the end of the day, it's a system, you know, like it's not the fault of the people that you would throw the blame at, which is usually like teachers and principals and people like that. Like you can't, and even politicians, because politicians don't even understand what they're talking about ever. Like that's the problem with politicians is they're professional politicians. They don't actually, in most cases, experience and do whatever their specialization is in politics. They specialized in law and politics, and yet they make decisions on a very broad base that, you know, you just can't expect them to fix it. You can't expect them to go in, like an education minister, for example, to go in and be like, oh, our whole education system's flawed and 20 years behind, because it is. Everything that we learn about the internet in this country is behind at least a decade at a baseline minimum. So by the time we learn what we learn in school, we are positioned to be over a decade behind, you know, any other first world country that just has basically half decent education standards around technology. And if you're not getting educated through technology, there's just no point even getting the education a lot of the time. You can see that in most things. You're like, why are you doing mathematics? You know, long division on paper with a pen. What's the point? Just get it, like, you know, like.
Do you need to go to school? Like, you've got Google, you've got Bing.
I remember the best quote ever from my teachers in school was like, the reason you have to learn division is because you won't always have access to a calculator. And now,
come on, they were doing the best they could with what they had.
Yeah, like, so they didn't know what smartphones were at the time because I didn't have them. Like we had Nokia 3310s. Oh, the days of Nokia 3310s.
My first phone was a Nokia 101. I'm older than you.
Yeah, I know.
It was the brick with you had to pull the aerial out of it.
Wow.
A lot of listeners will be able to relate. Trust me.
I know. I had the Nokia 3310. We used to play Snake on it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And sometimes make a text that would cost like $1.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But when a teacher says that, they're so unaware of what could technology potentially be in the future. Like what that was such a regular statement that was said. Like, you have to learn how to do this on paper because you'll never have access to a calculator all the time. Well, we literally have a calculator on the home page of every phone in the world now.
And a camera.
And a camera and everything else. But we literally have a calculator right there. So that's just an example of like 5 years later almost.
Yeah.
If 5-10 years later, you now do have access to all that. So what is the point of learning all of that hardcore mathematics? And it makes sense. You know, you want to be an engineer, you want to be a physicist, fantastic. You know, then you have to learn maths. But why does the mass market spend, like they spend half of the week learning English and maths, right? And at the level that we learn it at, there's a calculator that can do it, or a spell checker online that'll automatically improve your language, right? And they don't teach us how to calculate tax. You know, you ever wondered why they don't teach how to calculate tax?
They don't want to highlight the issue.
No, it's not an issue. I don't know if I'm being a conspiracy theorist here, but why would a government want to teach you how to better manage your tax? Mm-hmm. It's teaching you how to not pay as much tax, right? It's intentionally left out of every subject all throughout your entire school.
If conspiracy theories interest you, look up Jackson's podcast, Conspiracies and Me, where we are going to dive deep into conspiracies.